Hello everyone, I'm Asha Bist. Hope you all are doing well. Today I welcome you all in class 6, the chapter of history, what books and burials tell us. Dear students, before this we discussed the first part of this chapter. Today we are going to take the second and the final part of this chapter. So let's begin. Before starting the second part, let me revise the first part for you all. In the first part, we discussed about the oldest literature found. These were found in the form of the Vedas. There were 4 Vedas we discussed: the Rig Veda, Samveda, Atharveda and Yajurveda. In the first part, we also discussed about the languages used at that point of time to compose these literature. The famous language was Sanskrit that time, and reason-wise they were using different languages. We also discussed how historians study the Rig Veda. They studied Rig Veda in the form of the manuscript they found during the excavation and other activities. We also discussed about the hymns which were present in that literature. In that we discussed the story in the form of dialogues. One of the hymn which was between Vishwamitra and the rivers. Now today we'll start with the second part of this chapter. So let's begin. Cattle, horses and chariots. Most petitions in the Rig Veda for cows, kids and streets. Horses were burdened to chariot and utilized as a part of fights. Battles planned to catch dairy cattle, arrive, field, water and individuals. A part of the riches was utilized for performing yajnas or sacrifices in which offerings were put into flame for divine being, including ghee, grains and uncommon creatures. There are many prayers in the Rig Veda for cattle, children, especially the sons, and horses. Horses were yoked that time to chariots that were used in battles. People used to ride on those chariots to fight battles. And later, the captured cattle they used to bring to their kingdom. Battles were also fought. There are different reasons for which the battles were fought. Like I said, they used to, you can say, bring the cattle around there while winning the war, as well as they fought battles for covering the land areas. They also covered the land areas for pasture as well as to grow hard crops like barley. Some battles were also fought to capture the land area which was having the water resources, as well as they captured people of those areas which they fought and won the battle. Some of the wealth that was obtained was kept by the leaders, and out of the battle, whatever they used to collect, the wealth, especially the leaders used to keep the wealth. Most of the wealth was kept by the leaders, and some of the wealth was given to the priest, as well as some of the wealth was distributed among us, the common people. That time people used to perform yajnas, and they used to, for that, they used to make different offerings in fire, as fire was worshipped as god that time. Fire offerings were made, including they used to offer ghee, grain and in some other cases they used to sacrifice animals also. Especially the men took part in wars, and there was one thing which was very important that time. They were not having a fixed army for themselves. They used to meet, have proper meetings now, regular times, and they used to discuss their problems in those meetings, and later they used to find out the solutions there only. They also choose leaders in that meeting who were often brave and skillful warriors, and leaders were basically who used to be skilled as well as a good warrior. Moving forward, words to describe people. How people used to be described at that point of time. Political life. The Vedas even educate us concerning political existence of the sage. The head of sage was called Raja. The head of state was called Raja. The Raja had no capital castle armed forces, or ideal to gather charges. Now there are several ways of describing people that time. They were described as per the work they used to do, as per the language they used to speak, as well as to which place they used to belong, and their family also used to describe them, and the communities and the culture they used to practice. These all things used to help in describing about people. Let us see some of the words used to describe people found in the Rig Veda. There are two groups who are described in the terms of their work. First were the priests. They were called Brahmins. They used to perform various types of rituals for Rajas. These Rajas were not like the ones you will be learning about later, in the later chapters. They did not have capital cities. These Rajas, they don't had capital cities, palaces, or armies. Nor did they collect taxes, and they were not even collecting taxes from the common people. Sons did not automatically succeeded fathers as Rajas. Means you can say generally what happened in India, generation wise the king used to shift his or her throne to the sons. But here in this type of system, they were not having the automatic succeeders of fathers as Rajas. Now occupations. What kind of occupation they used to have? What kind of work they used to have? Like agriculture, cattle rearing, chariot production, ceramics, jewelry production, tanning, and metal work were the primary occupation that time. People used to do these kind of work that time. Then comes the dasas and dasyus. Dasas and dasyus. While Aryans created Vedas, another gathering of individuals restricted to Vedas, which were called dasas or dasyus or slaves. Sometimes the people who composed the hymns described themselves as Aryas. These people, those who just created the literature in the form of hymns. Their opponents used to be called as dasas and dasyus. These in dasas and dasyus, the people were the people who did not perform sacrifices and probably spoke different languages. They used to speak a different language. Later the term dasa and the feminine dasi came to mean as slave. They were later called as slaves. Earlier they used to call as dasas and dasyus, but later they were called as the slaves. Now slaves were women and men. Both women and men were the slaves who were often captured in wars. Like earlier we discussed that battles were fought to capture people also, so that they can take work out of from them. They can involve them in different works. So especially these slaves were captured in battles, in wars. They were treated as the property of their owners. Like inhuman behavior was done with them, excessive amount of work was taken from them, and they were not properly treated by their owners. The owners used to treat them as their own property, who could make them to do whatever work they wanted, and they were involved mostly in doing work for the kings or rajas, you can say. While the Rig Veda was being composed in the northwest of the subcontinent, there were other developments elsewhere. Okay, there were other developments which were going on while in the same time the Rig Veda was composed in northwest. Now megaliths. Archaeologists expect that items found with a skeleton likely had a place with the dead individual. In Brahmagiri, a skeleton was covered with 33 gold dots, 2 stone globules, and 1 conch shell through other skeleton, though other skeleton just had a pot. This shows what kind of system was there in the society. The rich used to be engraved with whatever the wealth they were having, and the poor were engraved with such type of small things which describe the status of the people that time. This shows the distinction in status amongst the general population who were covered. Some were rich while other were poor. These stone builders are known as megaliths. Megaliths especially were the stone builders. These were carefully arranged by people and were used to mark burial site. These boulders, huge stones, were used to mark the burial sites. These were the burial sites. The practice of erecting megaliths began about 3000 years ago and was prevalent throughout the Deccan, South India, in the northeast, and Kashmir. These were the places where the megaliths were found. Some important megalith sites are shown there in the textbook, also in map, which the map you can see there. The megalith sites are given there. While some megaliths can be seen on the surface, other megalith burials are often undergrounds. So all these burials have some common features. Generally, the dead were buried in with distinct pots, which are called the black and red wares. Also found are tools and weapons of iron, and sometimes skeletons of horses, horse equipments, and ornament of stone and gold. Earlier chapters also we discussed that time people used to believe that while living, whatever the things a person is using, he might be requiring those things after death also. So people used to keep with him, the dead body, all these things, and they were believing that people will use those things after death also. And finding about social differences, as I said that people used to be engraved with different things. Like the rich used to be graved with gold or silver coins, as well as ornaments, whatever they used during their life. And the poor used to be kept with small things, the you can say not very costly things which they were using during their life also. This shows the difference in status amongst people. It shows that some of the people were rich at that point of time and some were very poor. Sometimes stone monuments have more than one skeleton. In it demonstrates that individuals have a place with a similar family were covered at same place, however at various circumstances. Special burials occurred at Imamgaon. Animals were utilized as food. Skeleton studies inform us regarding better method for recognizing dead bodies. So this is all about the chapter. Hope you understood the concept. We'll soon meet with some more chapters from your history, geography and civics. Till then, take care. Have a good day.